crazy. How old are you?
47.
So I'm about 10 years younger than you. Let me give you a little tip. I think you could convince a lot of people if you make an account on this place called Reddit, and if you start posting, like, just responding to people in certain places, you'll have a great time, and you'll really convince a lot of people.
Lieutenant Aram Choe, can you tell us, is it more difficult to maintain Christian values as a police officer?
No, and I get that question. I don't understand that. Because as a Christian, you don't compromise your beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And at police work, you can't compromise either.
Thou shalt not kill. What if you got a...
Well, that's in context, right? I mean, it also says an eye for an eye, right? So
I believe in that, though.
Yeah. In the Bible, it says, and if you read the Old Testament, it's brutal, man. They did a lot. And God ordered killings, right?
That's our testament.
It's your favorite, right?
Hammurabi law, man. I think it makes it easier because I've used that. You know, like you know, I consider when I'm out there in the field, that's my ministry, and you can relate to a lot of people with God.
Isn't our actual judicial, like, the foundation all based on Christian laws, though? So, like...
Well, the Magna Carta.
But it's not like you're a Buddhist becoming an officer in the Western world, or it might be a little bit different.
But, I mean, the way that things were meant to be and the way they've turned out aren't necessarily, you know...
What do you think would be the conflict, though?
I don't know. That's what I was asking. Like, what if there's, like, a situation where it's more beneficial for your department if you're untruthful about something?
Thou shalt not lie.
That's in any, like, you know, in the business world too. That's an advantage too. It just depends on what your integrity level is.
Technically, going undercover is sinning then.
Because you're a liar.
Holy shit! I never thought of it that way.
I mean, we're all born with sin nature, and luckily, because we're not imperfect people, right? Luckily, Jesus died for our sins, not just the sins that were committed up until the point he died. He died for all our sins, ever. Our book's already written. We know the sin. I could be the most loyal Bible-thumping Christian today and live in a monastery or whatever, and I'll still commit a sin.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. And there's no different levels of sin. I know some denominations and some religions believe that there's one sin is greater than the next, right? But they're not. A sin is a sin. So there's no value. There's no, like, greater punishment for one sin to another. And so that's the beauty of it. It's like, yeah, we're sinners, and then when you acknowledge you're a sinner, then you submit yourself for the forgiveness of Christ. So I know I'm going to sin the minute I leave this place, the minute I go home. You know, it's going to happen in 10 years. But all we can do is strive to be a better version of ourselves.
When you say Jesus died for our sins, can you send me a Huffington Post link about that?
A what? Huffington Post? Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were still existing.
Something from NIH or something.
Yeah, that'd be really great. Thank you.
That's a diet of shit.
Citation needed. Thank you.
And it's a conversation builder because I'm so outspoken about it.
Yeah.
And I actually have one in my message requests because I post a Bible study verse every day. So if you start with me from day one, you'll finish reading the Bible in 365 days. Which I've never done before. So I said, I'm going to start this program in January 1, but I'm going to put it out there for everybody else who doesn't have this book. I'll just put the verses out there. So I got people that do it. I got someone that responded, not only you're for a smart guy, you're believing in a man-made God, blah, blah, blah.
I sent that.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
That was it.
That was a burner count.
And normally I would just ignore them. Yeah. I'm like, cool, man. Hey, well, help me understand what you said. How do you know this is man-made? Because I know that there's more evidence proving Christianity than there is evidence disproving Christianity. And so it was an opportunity for me to
open up a dialogue.
Yeah, hey, cool. Those are cool facts. What about these facts? You know, and I'll do that. And at some point, you're going to hit a wall where you can't change people's minds overnight. But at least I gave them my piece.
So having your belief systems kind of run in tandem as you do your job was never like you never ran into. That wasn't something you had to learn to do. It was like very natural.
No, I don't. It's like the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
And people hate hearing this because they how can you not do anything for your wife and kids? The thing is, in my household, and my wife is on board with me. God is here.
Yeah.
Before my wife, before my kids, and that's hard for a lot of people to hear because there's nothing I wouldn't do for my wife and kids. And then I'm not saying that when it comes to my son's baseball game or church. I have to go to church on Sunday. I'm going to miss my kids. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is any decision I make for the family has God at the center of it. Is it glorifying God? Is it edifying for our family, glorifying God? And a lot of people have a hard time with it, saying that, oh no, you should make a decision solely based on your family. Well, I wouldn't have my family. I wouldn't have been blessed with my wife, let alone my kids, if it wasn't for God intervening then, putting us together.
So that just means that they're misunderstanding what you're saying. Because you're
That happens a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because like whenever I see a football game, Patrick Mahomes is like, first of all, I just want to thank God, and people are like, fuck you. What are you talking about? God didn't win the game. God doesn't care about your football game. He's not talking about that. He's talking about when he was growing up, how all these opportunities came to him, and how his dad helped him focus on football, and how he got to where he is, and all the work he put in and shit like that. Dude.
Influences decision making.
He's not saying God fucking scored the touchdown.
He didn't pass it to God.
Made it stick to Travis Kelce's gloves in the end zone. Shut the fuck up. It's so simpleton shit.
You guys asked a question before about how I made lieutenant, right? This is a trippy story. So my mom was murdered in 2015.
Yeah.
6 months later, I decided I'm going to take these.
Can I ask by like who or how?
So she, my mom was the type of person that would take a stray dog. At one point, we had like 5 stray dogs, right? She's that person.
Are you calling homeless people stray dogs or actual dogs?
No, dogs. Dogs.
I thought she's taking people in from the streets.
Bart dehumanizes homeless people, just so you know.
So my mom owned a bunch of properties, real estate, and she was a good-looking woman, right? She was very sweet, and she was like my friend's favorite mom growing up, and so she entered this relationship with this man that lasted like a week. He was in it for the money, but he needed a place to stay, and my mom had this trailer in a senior trailer home park that was available, right? And she's like, you stay here for a month. And a month turned to 2 months, 3 months. Next thing you know, it took a year. She ended up rekindling a relationship with her old golf coach. His name was Peter Hong. He was a senior PGA Tour guy. And he proposed to my mom Christmas Day in Palm Springs. And so my mom's like, I can't have any loose attachments to ex-boyfriends or anything. Tell this guy, hey, I need to kick you out. Time to go. He said, fine. Come meet me here, and I'll hand you the keys. And my mom was living in San Diego at the time, so she needed to go. Oceanside was like on the way to her house. Doesn't tell Peter. Tells Peter, I just have to go home to pick up some stuff. Doesn't want to start a fight or anything. Doesn't want to bring up the ex-boyfriend, and says, doesn't tell him. So she goes, and he ambushes her and kidnaps her, knocks her out, puts her inside the house, straps her to a chair, and shoots her in the head. And then he's such a pussy that his first attempt at killing himself, he misses because a round goes through the bathroom. Then he gets to one of the other rooms, and then he offs himself there. But this was hours later, so he was contemplating not doing it.
That's crazy.
And as someone that's an investigator that's been on other homicides and stuff, it was really hard for me to avoid, because the first thing I want to do is talk to Oceanside police. Hey, give me your criminal file. But I knew I would see pictures, and I didn't want to.
Too far, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that happened in Oceanside. I decided I'm going to push forward and try to promote to sergeant. And I'd already, this is my 3rd time trying. The first 2 times I bombed my tests. And mind you, this is El Monte Police. When we have outside panels, it's like Azusa, San Gabriel, LASD, you know. I walk in the room, the first guy on the panel is an Oceanside lieutenant.
And he remembers you.
No. I didn't know who he was, but he knows of me. I didn't know this. I didn't assume anything.
Oh, but the department spoke about what happened, and
They knew him from...
He knew me because of that, right? He knew. I don't think he related. He knew me immediately until my oral interview, but I just locked eyes on the Oceanside thing. I'm like, we've never had anybody outside the county.
Yeah.
Right. That's
So
all the
good.
way in San Diego. Like, what is he doing?
If we did, we would have Riverside or Orange County or San Bernardino before San Diego.
Yeah.
It's the first and only time we had an Oceanside, San Diego County guy ever sit on a panel.
Yeah.
I aced that thing because one of the questions that they asked was, tell us about a time you had to go through a difficult moment and push through. And I said, well, 6 months ago my mom was murdered, and here I am. And that's when it clicked for him, I think.
Oh.
So I don't know what happened. I thought I did okay, but when I left the oral, I'm sure they talked about it, right? Because when I leave, the panel talks and they kind of fix their scores. I'm sure the Oceanside lieutenant told the rest of them, and maybe I got some sympathy points, but I came out number 1 on that list. And it's never happened again. No other San Diego influence.
Wow.
And I thought, man, that cannot be a coincidence. And I talked about this to a pastor friend of mine. He says, it's not a coincidence. If you're a Christian, there's something called providence. It was meant to happen. There's no coincidences when you're with God. So I mean, that's one of the impacts. I mean, it's crazy.
It's crazy. How old are you?
47.
So I'm about 10 years younger than you. Let me give you a little tip. I think you could convince a lot of people if you make an account in this place called Reddit, and if you start posting, like, just responding to people in certain places, you'll have a great time, and you'll really convince a lot of people.
I've seen it before. I've never really spent time.
Oh, you'll love it. Yeah, you'll really convince a lot of people about all this stuff. No, don't even bother. Please don't ever go there. Yeah, you're fine.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Don't ever go there is my point. Because those people are like, oh, really? The floating man in the sky got you a job? It's like so...
I get it enough on Instagram.
It's like nuts.
But I'm desensitized to it. You know, I know it's
Yeah.
gonna be. You cannot be.
But some coincidences are just like, so what?
It's insane.
How?
Yeah.
You know, like how?
And you have to not be paying attention to little things that are actually given to you in life to just write it all off.
So that's interesting what you just said. How it's hard to be both of those things in 2024. I feel like police and Christian.
Like how so? I don't.
Well, because police are unpopular.
So are Christians. Christians are unpopular too.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting that you're both of those things, and it's like
Unpopular where though? Because social media is different. Like I think Christians are popular outside of social media, but on social media it's hard.
I think
Yeah, a liberal on social media hates you.
Yeah, legit.
I think I figured it out. I think just now. So I identify as a Christian. That's who I am.
Yeah.
But if you ask me if a police officer is who I am, it's not. It's my job. It's my profession.
Yeah.
It's my career. Is it a large part of my life? Yeah, but it's not. If you ask me who I am, I'm a believer. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a good friend. But police officer is going to be towards the end of that list. Has it changed my mind? Yeah, I've done it for 25 years. Of course, it's a part of me,
Yeah.
but it's not who I am. I don't identify as a cop. It's what I do.
yeah.
So I think that's how I can maybe separate that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah.